Hello and good morning, good afternoon, and in some places, good evening. Welcome to the new episode of the Xbox Lunch Break Special. I'm your host, Mr. BoomStick XL, and folks, wow, talk about an incredible Super Bowl. I mean, a high-scoring, high-flying event. Both quarterbacks on display were just nothing short of spectacular. But unfortunately, there has to be one winner. Congratulations to Chief Nation. I was gonna say Crispy Belvedere and combined to two people. That's weird. Crispy Bomb is a huge Chiefs fan, so shout out to him. His team won. But listen, folks, we're here to talk Xbox. We're here to talk specifically Bethesda. And of course, I had to invite Mr. Bethesda himself, one of the best beards in the business, Skullzi TV. He dropped a video the other day that, of course, because he is another internet detective like the Idle Sloth and like so many others, he found some trademark things on a new unannounced Bethesda game. And folks, listen, the shadow drop apparently does work. And maybe we get this thing shadow drop sometime this year, maybe sometime next year. But Skullzi, how the heck are you, brother? Welcome back.
Yeah, I'm doing awesome. Always glad to be here. Definitely a lot of stuff to talk about today, so it should be an awesome show for sure. Thank you again. Hopefully everybody's having a great day, both on the panel and in the audience.
Yes, I hope so as well. And yeah, we're going to be talking about The Evil Within 3. We're going to be talking about the unannounced project that he discovered, as well as some Starfield news that I'm sure has been making the rounds since Jez Corden on the Xbox 2 podcast last week with, of course, Randall Thor 19. They talked about, and specifically Jez talked about, how he believes that Starfield is in fact dropping in June, literally at the last month of the 12 months of games for Xbox. And you know what? If it has to wait until June, it has to wait. I was hoping for March, but to be honest, folks, Hogwarts has my soul. I mean, what a game. I'm 20 plus hours in. I'm about to hit level 23. And I'm infatuated. It is my Elden Ring of 2023. I just cannot get enough of this game. When I'm playing it, this is the crazy thing. When I'm playing it, I'm thinking about it. When I'm not playing it, I'm thinking about it. And when I'm sleeping, folks, I am dreaming of this game. It's crazy. I mean, like I said, as again, obviously I do 5 shows a week. I don't get a chance to play every opportunity, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. And sometimes it expands into 3 hours. I try to get in, I do a quick save, and I'm just loving it. But listen, let's welcome in Web Dave. You put out a great new one-on-one today with Scrub Nurse, another fantastic member of the community. Welcome back, brother. How you feeling?
I'm feeling a lot better now, man. Thank you. And thanks. I actually got several different people ask me how I was doing and checking up on me. And thanks for all that. I appreciate it. The community is amazing. Absolutely. And, just one of those things. Things happen, day by day life. And, so, but hey, I'm here. I'm back. And, we got some topics today.
We do. We're going to get into a spicy one to start off the show because, the gaming media folks, if they already did not have a good record, they have once again done something egregious. They've done something unprofessional. And I got to tell you, the more that these kind of reviews, and I'll tell you in a second after we introduce Fuzzy, happen, we as gamers, folks, we don't owe these companies anything. Let's understand that. But if you are a fan, if you appreciate the craft that is in front of us in video games, sometimes we need to get out there and and hold these sites accountable for what has been confirmed, folks, as being an industry that is dominated by marketing. Right, we know that some sites raise their scores because they got a review copy. That's been confirmed. We talked about that for years, but we've also seen the ugly other side of the coin when a review site doesn't get their review copy, they take it out on the game itself and they give it a lower score. Where's the integrity, folks? This is what I want to know. Do you give have I ever given a score for what the games I've gotten? Absolutely not. I will be fair and honest. If I don't get a code, then I don't get a code. That's fine. But where is the integrity? But before we get into that, Fuzzy Belvedere, how are you feeling, brother? How was your weekend?
I'm doing pretty good, and also like you, also playing Hogwarts and constantly thinking about like a lot of the different spells I'm going to try to target or focus on trying to learn and things along those lines. But man, oh man, good. I mean, this is a great gaming year, and we're only in the middle of February at this point.
It's unbelievable. It
Yeah.
really is. If you think about what has come out this year, and there's been a lot of games, right? Obviously, there's been a lot of games, but like some of the big ones that jump off the page: Hi-Fi Rush, Dead Space, Hogwarts. Tomorrow is Atomic Heart. It's unbelievable. I know I'm missing one in there. This is the one I'm missing. That was a big one that launched, and it's just too many games. But listen. Let's get into what I'm talking about in regards to what happened over the weekend. Now, I got to shout out Legacy Killer HD because he posted this, and I wanted to give him credit where credit is due. He's on Twitter at Legacy Killer KILLA HD, and he says this, folks. Wired magazine has given Hogwarts Legacy a 1 out of 10 review score. Exactly what WB knew was coming and why they didn't give review copies to everyone. Now, again, that if you want to know where he's coming from, what wound up happening is WB Games gave out early copies to a specific amount of review places or sites, and there were some people that were left off of the review copy list simply because they expected that instead of reviewing the game for the game, instead of holding Avalanche Studios accountable for the game that they made, which is, by the way, effing brilliant, they figured that this was going to be an opportunity for some of these sites to grandstand, to politically correct grandstand, to tell you that you are a bad person for supporting a brand that is apparently, and of course we're talking about J.K. Rowling had some things to say about the trans community, which, depending on where you fall, right, wrong, or indifferent. I want to play the game because I'm a fan of Harry Potter. I want to play a game because I'm a fan of the universe that is been built for us. I've been a Harry Potter fan for years. I don't think that the entire series should be thrown in the mud because one person made a comment that that maybe they shouldn't have. So, of course, we started hearing stories, Skullzi, of a community that normally is against bullying, is against ridiculing. Right, this is something that we fight for as content creators. It's something I fight for specifically in my own chat. Everyone is welcome here, folks. Race, creed, color, sexual orientation, religion, none of that matters. You come into the Boom and Mrs. Boom house, you're all welcome. Put your feet up, grab a Dr. Pepper, chill, grab a beer, whatever you want to grab, and just hang out. That's what we do on this channel. That's what a lot of channels do. We just want you to come in, hang out, have a great conversation, and just relax. Don't worry about people bullying because we don't stand for that kind of stuff. Well, Skullzi, we started seeing that there was someone that created, and I talked about this last week, and it made me sick. Honestly, made me sick to my stomach that someone created a search engine and an algorithm that if you wanted to see if your favorite, content creator streamed or talked about, that wizard game, you could then be put on display for everyone to come after you. Now, of course, I don't care because I'm playing the game. I've been supporting the game. I bought it day one. I bought the best edition available for it so I could play it early. I don't care what anyone says. I like the game. I'm playing a video game because I like video games. Skullzi, this review from Wired. Now, Wired magazine, folks, is a tried and true magazine, right? It's been around for years. Now, it's not specifically just about video games. It has everything. It's electronics, right? Anything that's wired makes sense, right? Well, the name of the review was Gina Gray, and it's Jaina. If I'm saying it wrong, I apologize. And she reviewed it, and she said basically, review. There's no magic in Hogwarts Legacy. The game is mid at best, and its real-world harms are impossible to ignore. Now, of course, that's her opinion, and she's entitled to it. But this is where it gets a little sketchy, folks. Now, I've always reviewed a game based on, well, the game. That's what you're supposed to do, folks. And she wrote in the positives, it helped me say goodbye to the setting for good, meaning that she's completely done with the Wizarding World. And that's fine. Listen, everyone's entitled to their opinion, and I don't challenge it. You have your opinion. It's okay. And that's the wired part. The tired part, which would be the issues with the game. The story is rooted in anti-Semitic tropes. The gameplay feels dated. The graphics feel like they're a couple of generations behind. All the characters are one-dimensional. It doesn't stay true to the established lore. What? Every character feels like an off-brand version of the characters we know and love. There's no sense of place, no magic, no heart. Well, that is a straight-up lie. And yes, she's entitled to her opinion. Yes, Wired is entitled to post what they feel is going to sell, magazines online and in physical form. But Skullzi, when you see these kind of things, makes you wonder what is actually happening here. You've been playing for a while. What are your thoughts on this, Skullzi?
Yeah, so Hogwarts is definitely up there with the potential game of the year this year, and to give it a review like that, not only is it just ignorant, but it's detached from reality. Essentially, there's no magic in the game. Okay, it's a game where you're learning magic, first of all. Second of all, the graphics are great. The only small issues I've heard are things with ray tracing, and not that many people use ray tracing anyway. The way I look at it is it goes down to this. I want to see what their metrics are, what their rules are for their reviews, because a lot of the big review sites, you can actually look them up, like IGN and GameSpot. They actually tell you how they grade games, and they have a system, and you can look at that system and you can be like, okay, that makes sense. Now, I get it. There's more surrounding rhetoric with this game than there usually is with other games, but to give it a complete 1 out of 10 is just separating from the actual review of the game itself and inserting your own opinions outside of what the game actually is. I'm okay with maybe knocking off a letter grade or a number because you disagree with some of the political stuff. One grade, like dropping it from a 9 to an 8 or an 8 to a 7, I can kind of get that to a certain degree, but a 1 out of 10 is just, it's a statement in itself. Not only is it a statement about your company and how you review stuff, but at the same point in time, it's not a game review. It's a political statement. If you want to write a political statement about Harry Potter, about Hogwarts Legacy, by all means do so. You have the right to do so as a writer. You have the right to do so as your own publication, but don't try to pass it off as a 100% game review when you barely reviewed the game. Not only does it just make you look bad, but it's going to just, people aren't going to take you as seriously anymore. The game is definitely not 1 out of 10. Even in its worst light, it's up there with 7 out of 10 at least, maybe 6 out of 10. For me, the game is 8 or 9 because it's a combination of many things I love of RPGs. It's got that Bethesda style exploration, side quests, characters, always something to distract you and draw you in. And it's got Elden Ring vibes heavy. And to say that something that takes inspiration from Elden Ring to a certain degree, something that takes inspiration from the amazing open worlds that Bethesda creates and slap a 1 out of 10 on it, just blows my mind. I feel like I'm consistently doing the Dr. Steve Brule, just confused, looking around the room during this entire period, because I get it. I've grown up in the 90s. I've seen people hated for who they were, for their sexuality, and I don't like it. I don't stand for it. It's disgusting to see bullying in any way, shape, or form. As long as someone isn't
100%.
hurting anyone else, let them live the life they want to live. Let them be who they want to be, because this life is our adventure. This is our adventure. This is our but don't start attacking people over that. Like, you can try to educate someone, give your opinion, but to the degree to where we're organizing witch hunts, and I've seen some channels that do a lot of good charity work that are just totally 100% positive, break down in tears because they got attacked by hundreds of people within the first hour of their stream.
Scary.
I can never
like a
agree with
lynch
bullying.
mob mentality, Skullzi. It's again. I know that some people are like, oh, it's not that big of a deal. It's a big deal, Skullzi.
Oh yes, 100%, and I can never stand behind it, no matter what. I'm pro peace. I'm against, like, not to get into that, but death penalty. I think everyone should have the right to not be attacked. Right? There's certain circumstances. Now, if someone's coming at you aggressively and attacking you, by all means defend yourself, even in verbiage and arguments, whatever. But to be the aggressor and then think that you're underneath the banner of the hero is just ignorant. No one gets a free pass to go around and start hitting people. It's just I can never stand for it, and it breaks my heart to see it. And I want the gaming community to just be this amazing, positive place where everyone is welcome. And when both sides of the fence are drawing swords, there's not going to be any peace. One of my favorite quotes is, "You can't paint a masterpiece in blood, even if it's the blood of horrible people, good people, whatever. You just can't do it." Violence, aggressive action is not the way to go about doing stuff. And even if you do make positive change in it, it's going to be on shaky ground. You got to go about this a better way.
Yes.
And yeah, it just hurts to see, especially because the developers have put a lot of love into this game. There is heart in this game. There's heart in every single pixel, every facial animation, every side quest. You can feel the love for the franchise and the game itself. And I just hope that eventually that this type of witch hunt situation, because it has backfired on them, won't happen again. I say that, I always try to have hope for humanity, but sometimes they let me down. But we'll see what happens.
I agree. I think what you said was completely spot on. A lot of people in the chat agree with you. I do not like lynch mob mentality. I think it's destructive. At best, you'll never achieve what you are trying to achieve by swinging a sword blindly and cutting anything down in front of you. That is not the way to do things. This Wired article, yes, it's one, but we've seen some others. I'm not gonna specifically get into all of them because we're here to talk about specifically Xbox. But listen, good stuff. Web Dave, let's get your hot take on this, and then we're gonna get into why a lot of people showed up for Skullzi specifically because of the video he did. But this is disappointing on a lot of levels.
Yep.
And the people, meaning us, right? I don't read Wired magazine anyway, but I still feel that my opinion is valid. I still feel that everyone that writes reviews should look at this and see how not to do a review. I get it. You want to get out there and you want to boycott the game because you feel what J.K. Rowling said is inappropriate and offensive, then you go out there and you do that. You don't buy her stuff. You get out there with a sign in front of Universal Studios and you chant, close the park, or you get in front of Legoland and you go and you do close Legoland because they send royalty checks to J.K. Rowling. Go to Japan and boycott in front of Nintendo. Don't they have a contract with her? I think they do. So why don't you do that? I have said attacking the studio and specifically the people playing this game is wrong. This sends a wrong message. What are your personal thoughts, Dave?
Just to make this quick because the magazine is totally disgraced itself by releasing this viewpoint. The person that was put in charge of the review has no credibility at all, and it's a disgrace. Period. But the thing that they say in their opening salvo is that the game is mid at best. Well, mid from 1 to 10 is a 5. So if that's the best, then a few ticks down, a 3, a 4, okay. But to say a 1 and then to clearly get right into politics and J.K. Rowling and how disgraceful that there was no true review of the game. They probably didn't even turn it on, to be honest with you. I doubt they even played it at all. They just went into a, I don't know, 4 or 5 paragraph rant about how bad she is and how bad it is that anybody has anything to do with this game. And that's disgraceful. And all I can say is, yeah, it's all this whole mess is backfired. It's and it's going to hurt Wired, and I have a feeling in the long run they're going to probably regret doing what they have done, and we'll see. But anyway, my personal opinion, and just so people are clear on my stance, I personally know someone in the trans community and have the utmost respect for that
100%.
person.
Absolutely.
And
yeah,
that's all I'll say on that. But it's even talking to that person, they don't see this vitriol level at all. They just like, I understand some of it, but okay. They want to be, accepted and people in the community just like everybody else. So maybe people just need to wake up and move on. That's all. That's all. I'm done.
listen,
Soapbox.
yeah, no, I mean it's I mean, well said, Dave. Listen, my wife and I, we have been out there, and we are open and proud supporters of the LGBTQIA plus community. Okay, I and Josie, my wife, we believe, be who you want to be. We love everyone, right? That's our motto. Be who you want to be, and if you're comfortable in your own skin, then you do you, right? What I dislike is articles that look to take a political stand, and they're wrong. Like the editors at Wired should be ashamed of themselves.
Yep.
100%. Because what you are ultimately doing is allowing one person's view, which is skewed, right? Which is completely skewed, and represent your brand. I honestly think that this is going to hurt them. And if it does it, well, you should have been better. You should have allowed. What they should have done is allowed for this person to write an article, an opt-in article that says, I this is why I don't like it,
Yep.
and let
Op-ed
someone else
maybe?
review
Yeah.
the game that plays the games. Yes, sir.
Yeah. No. I'm saying an op-ed like that would have been more appropriate.
Yeah, it absolutely
this.
would have been more appropriate. 100%. Absolutely. But listen, Fuzzy, let's get your opinion on this. And if you're curious as to what, and again, let me just bring it up because I want to make sure that I get her name correct. Let me just pull up the article right now. It is Jaina Gray. She wrote the article for Wired. She gave it a 1 out of Hogwarts, a 1 out of 10. If you're curious as to what she normally does, she reviews sex toys and coffee makers. And her last review was a couple of years ago. So I don't understand why Wired would
Now,
allow
Skullzi,
for
let me
this.
tell you about these sex toy reviews. Those are actually pretty pertinent and pretty amazing.
Listen, if that's what she does, then that's great. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And it's fine. But this is wrong on a lot of levels. And I think ultimately it's going to hurt Wired. What are your quick thoughts on this, Fuzzy?
Well, first on the Wired aspect, I almost guarantee that this was one of those where somebody in the management was probably like, all right, who wants to do this review? And Gina probably raised their hand as far as to be the one to review it. And it is what it is. But
How'd you pronounce that again, Fuzzy? I'm sorry.
Gina, I believe she goes by Gina.
Yeah, I'm just
I
playing.
See, I know I was going to mispronounce the name, but okay.
Dude, I have no idea how you pronounce it,
Yeah.
but Skullzi's sure laughing hard.
no, but the big thing is, as a game review, let's just start with the game review aspect.
Yes.
A 1 to me means a game that you try to start up on your system and it
broke.
bricks
Don't
it.
play. Yeah.
It won't start. It bricks your system. You have to unplug it, reset it, factory reboot, whatever.
Good call.
If you're going to, I guess, purposely anchor or scuttle a game review, try to be at least somewhat realistic in the aspect of, are you able to at least get to play the game? Are you able to, understand the UI? Are you able to understand the first at least 15 minutes of the game as far as creating a character, blah, blah, blah. Like that alone just it automatically shuts me off as far as from ever wanting to bother with Wired for any type of review if they're going to allow this in a review section. An op-ed, opinion based, go for it. Like I would have more respect for them if they made it where it's like, all right, this game is like a 6 in my mind because I'm not a fan as much anymore because of whoever's behind it. The game is playable, but I don't recommend you buy. Like at least have your opinion as the don't buy, but give it an actual review. But the thing that I find ironic, and I got about 13 hours in this game, and I get the impression that this individual is within the LGBTQ community. I would look at this game, and this is just me, and one that has family members within that same community. Playing this game, you see representation throughout this game.
Thank you. My wife said the same thing. Absolutely, 100%.
And to know somewhat about J.K. Rowling, because like I said, I'm not the biggest Harry Potter fan. I didn't pay attention to it when it was, the thing, because like I was an older adult. I was into cars and other stuff in life. Didn't have little kids at the time, so I completely missed the Harry Potter craze. So that being said, I understand J.K. Rowling has a fundamental issue or whatever belief against that community. But the fact that there's a lot of representation is almost like a thumb up, thumb against the nose to her in reference to, like, yeah, she got money for the license, but I guarantee you, if she saw this game, she would be like seething in her seat for the fact that there's that type of people. I'm not saying that that's from my standpoint, but from her standpoint, who put these people in this game, and nobody's talking about that. Like, you could tell this is not her involvement or anything other than just, okay, we have the permission to use the lore in the world as far as how this game is built. This being like kind of like a prequel to Harry Potter per se. I can't imagine, no matter how many zeros are in the end of whatever check she got as far as for the licensing, that she'd be happy about this. Like, and to have a reviewer just go ahead and target this game, give it a 1 out of 10, not make any mention of the representation in the game, just seems like you're so blinded with anger that you didn't even bother to realize that there's more to this game and that you could have had a teachable moment and point out how maybe J.K. Rowling should reconsider how she hands out licenses or what checks she accepts, because hey, this is an actual fairly representational game in the sense of this would never have happened if it was under her watch or under her direct control and stuff. So it boggles my mind. It's like you spite your nose to save your face kind of deal, and it's like you did, obviously she didn't or Johnny didn't turn on the game or play it at all.
More than likely. Yeah.
So it just I don't know. For me, Wired, it was great for electronic stuff before, but between them and CNET and blah blah blah, I used to use them for like, oh, I need a new appliance. Let me see what they say. I'm not going to bother with it, because if they're going to focus on reviews in a review section where it's like obviously the product was not reviewed, then I'm not going to bother with your your company at that point.
There you go.
It would have been perfect. Opinion piece, go for it. Reviews, this is not, and they lost all of my interest from that point forward. That's
Yeah,
all I got.
I think they're going to lose thousands upon thousands of subscribers and readers of their magazine over this. Like I said, I think that the best way that you could have handled this, and they should have known better because they've been a publication for decades, right?
Yep.
They should have allowed for this woman to write her piece and put it in there, put it on the front page, make the front cover this open op piece that she was able to break down why this was a problem for her. And you know what? That would have been a pretty good read to hear someone's opinion why they are upset. To target the game is so cheap. It's so easy, right? It's the easy, cheap way out. And like everyone has just already confirmed, a transgender person is in the game and plays a significant part inside of the game, folks. I don't know. I just think that it's a shame.
Hey, Boom. One thing one of the people in the chat said, I don't know, I'm going to butcher this. Roshan, oh my gosh,
Epenger, I think it is.
Yes. Sorry. I apologize for that. So that's the thing. She's not against the LGBTQIA plus community. In other words, Rollins' her original quote, original comments were, I believe, some people were saying it's taken out of context, and she has, backtracked and apologized for those comments since then. I'm not in that community personally, so I'm not going to defend it. But what I can say is that I don't think that she would have a problem with what they did in the game because she doesn't seem to oppose anything. It's just basically they've stood on a hill, and they're obviously the community that's offended by this, or even some people maybe not actually in the community are just, that's their flag and what they're flying with right now. Unfortunately, I think it kind of actually demeans their cause if by doing this instead of actually trying to get their point out there to make more people understanding of their, I guess, what they want to be and how they want to be portrayed in the community and in life. And that's all I got to say. Sorry, I'll shut up.
No. Listen, at the end of the day, you're allowed to have an opinion, whether it's a positive opinion or negative opinion, but you really owe it to yourself. If you have a feeling, see what the problem with this particular movement, and I don't know what generation is a part of it, but I think it has a lot to do with the younger generation that has this ideology that when they don't like something that doesn't suit their narrative, they group up and they attack. And it's funny because if you'd ask this group of people that are now doing this, that are seeking out content creators and bullying them, if you ask them about bullying, they'd be like, no, bullying is awful. But yet you have become exactly the part of the problem that you have a problem with. So it's disgusting. It's disgusting. Listen, enough of that. We're here to talk about video games. We got 400 people here. Let me catch up on the super chats. First of all, the first one of the day comes the way of Brett Bingham, who drops a very generous $2 super chat and says, Hogwarts Legacy gives me OG Fable nostalgia. Yeah, especially when you're like jumping in the water and you see like the little bubbles and you got to dive down. I didn't know you could swim in the game until I was like, you have to jump in it? You could swim? Oh my God, this is great. But it did give me those Fable vibes because in Fable, you'd be able to fish. And you'd be able to fish where all those little like bubbles were. You drop your pole in, you fish. Sometimes you get a sword, sometimes you get a fish, whatever. It was a nice callback to that. Drawn TJ, generous friend of the program, drops a $2 super chat. Simply says, hello, guys. And hello, Drawn TJ. Gamers Play HUD Zero, who's been a member for 1 year, drops a $2 super chat and says, selfish views don't belong in game reviews. None. Excellent. Jonas the Dad drops a very generous $5 super chat, and it's what he says on a personal level that I absolutely love on this comment. He says he has 6 kids. 2 are in the Plus community, and they still love the Potiverse, just not JK Great show, great panel. And he says to Skullzi, lie to me, Skullzi. Tell me that Starfield is in March. I need it. And I think we all do, but folks, I don't think that's going to happen. So let's
one more, Boom. Let me drop it in.
We got
for
another
you.
one.
Just one more. I'm clicking as fast as I can. And
all right, yeah,
there we go.
Here we go. Brett Bingham drops him an additional $5 super chat and says, those people attack Hogwarts Legacy. People are acting like the guy bashing the TV after the Super Bowl. Yeah, it's just dumb. It's just dumb. I absolutely agree. But let's get into Starfield. Skullzi, listen, we're talking 3 different types of Bethesda topics, one of which is going to be Starfield. Now, last week on the Xbox 2 podcast, good friends of this program, great friends of the community, Jez Corden and Randall Thor on the Xbox 2 podcast. Jez Corden of Windows Central specifically said that he believes that Starfield is in fact dropping in June. Now, for me, I was hoping for the March. And there's been a lot of talk on, there's a big space event happening in June, which makes sense because, Todd Howard, he loves numbers, he loves dates, he loves NASA, right? And it makes sense. Hopefully we do see some sort of marketing with NASA and Xbox. That would be brilliant to get people that maybe are not into video games into video games. Let's start there because we're going to talk about Starfield. We're then going to talk about The Evil Within 3, which I cannot wait for because I was a huge fan of 2. Didn't care too much for 1. I got to go back to it and try and play through it. I beat 2 multiple times. 2 was phenomenal. 3, I expect is going to be even better now that I got the money and the marketing, right? That's going to be good. And then, of course, we're going to get into, finally, what Skullzi discovered in regards to trademarks, what game it's attached to, and what we could expect. Let's start first with Starfield. Where do you kind of sit on this? Because you've been at this for years, and obviously we thought that Starfield was going to release before the vampire game they have coming in May, and that's not happening. It doesn't look like that. Apparently, is happening. It appears that it's happening in June. Skullzi, have you heard anything to collaborate?
Yeah, so the date thing, first of all, I feel that you could look at any month almost and find a date that people could say would be perfect for Starfield, whether it's NASA or whatever. I think people should be paying a little bit closer attention to SpaceX than NASA. Despite your opinion with Elon Musk is friends with Todd. They've collaborated with Bethesda on several things related to Starfield already. If there was any space event that Bethesda would try to tag along with, I would say it would be from SpaceX, personally.
Yeah, makes sense.
But that's just my own take there. Now as for Jez, he knows his stuff. Like he's been right far more than he's been wrong. In fact, I can't even, most of the times that he's been actually wrong was when he's just been misquoted, or he was just talking about his own speculation and people ran with it as if it was a leak or something. Starfield, that's the game that the entire gaming community is waiting for. It's, the second it drops, everything is going to be Starfield related. We're going to see Starfield articles, Starfield everything all over the place. I want the game to come out sooner rather than later, right? But to go along with what Jez said, I could totally see Bethesda literally waiting until the very last minute of their projected release time to release the game. That way they can get as much polishing and bug testing in the game as possible. Because we knew last year from people that the game was essentially in the final stages. They're polishing, they're bug fixing, they're doing that sort of stuff. Basically the last final stage. They weren't adding major mechanics into the game. Everything that was in the game or was supposed to be in the game was in the game already last year. So theoretically, if they extend it to June, we would get a better product, right? We'd have a longer period of bug testing, a longer period of Q&A. But there's one glaring issue with the whole June thing. I've worked in gaming marketing for a while. I know the ups and downs of when games generally sell better. The summer isn't it. People can bring up Game Pass all you want. Game Pass is an anomaly, and yes, Game Pass will bring new people in. But at the end of the day, summer isn't the best gaming period. A lot of people are going on holidays. A lot of people, college students, are traveling and going on vacations, or even adult people are going on vacations. A lot of people aren't inside during the summer to playing games. Now there is going to be a certain group of people that still will be, myself included. You know, they could release Starfield any day, any month. It could be on my birthday, Christmas, my wife's birthday, and I'd be playing it even if she got mad at me that day. But at the end of the day, you know, I want the game to come out in March, and there's evidence to suggest this as well. The Chinese production company, which is partnered with Microsoft, on January 4th started manufacturing a Xbox console box art with Starfield. And I've talked to people who've worked with China in terms of production and shipping, and generally the rule is 6 to 8 weeks from the point it starts production is when usually they want these products to be in the market on the West. 6 to 8 weeks after January 4th is like March 1st. It's right there in the Marcher time period. So
it is.
There's evidence that supports very well we could get the game then. But granted, Jez knows what he's talking about. I've heard some other insiders mention June as well. So I kind of have to start giving June, unfortunately, a little bit more weight than I would have before. But at the end of the day, it's going to come out the first half of the year. I'm not team November. I don't think it's getting pushed, especially when we have the Xbox box art being made, when we have all these people saying June. But I am worried a bit because, well, if Starfield releases in June, will it do well? Of course. It's Starfield. Everyone's paying attention to the game. But if a game releases it during peak periods, like Q4, for example, it's going to do better. And I want Starfield to get as much positive reception, as many players day one as possible. And, you know, as much as it hurts to say, I'd rather them push it in November than drop it in June. That's just my own personal take, just because I want the game to get as much success metrics as possible. But I don't think it's going to happen. I still think it's going to come out sometime either between March and June. It's a big window. I wish I could be more specific than that. But I guess the roundup, the TLDR of what I said is there's definite evidence for March, but now we have people who are credible saying June. So we're back floating in the dark spaces of space, in the void of space, trying to grasp on any light we can. And we just got to wait at this point in time. The main determining factor is the Bethesda Starfield showcase, which we know is coming at some point in time. Judging by the wording that I've heard Microsoft execs, Bethesda people say, it's not going to be an E3 showcase. They're not talking about E3. They're talking about something.
No, it's going to be developers. Yeah.
And we're going to get the release date then too. So really, it just depends on when that drops. If that drops here very soon, which I'm guessing February based on some of the stuff I've heard, then March becomes even more possible because they've already marketed the game. Could they have marketed it more? Sure. Do they need to? Not really, especially when you look at Hi-Fi Rush's Shadow Drop.
Yes.
People will say Starfield's a larger game and needs more marketing. I mean, yes and no. People already know what Starfield is. People are going to buy it. They can drop the showcase on February 24th, release it the 28th, and they'll probably do great. So we just got to wait for that showcase. I'm right there waiting with everybody else. A little impatient, but still hyped.
You know, to your point, Skullzi, I have to admit that I think Starfield, and again, we've seen some developer dives, right? We've seen some graphics. We've seen some gameplay. We've seen a lot. We've listened to the music. It's going to be unbelievable. I think that we have been waiting for this game for so long that the marketing push, even though it's not traditional marketing, is already out there. People are searching Starfield left, right, and center. It's a fact. The stats don't lie, folks. Okay. Personally, I would like it in March. But to be fair, and we were talking about this in the green room earlier, I don't know about you folks. We have over 400 people here, almost 450 people here. It's only February 13th, folks. And my backlog is to the point of nauseum. Dead Space, I'm halfway through. You saw me post pictures. The game is just incredible. Graphically, it's unbelievable. Hi-Fi Rush, I'm at the last boss right now. I want to beat that. I want to start playing through it again. Hogwarts, I mean, I can't gush enough about it. If Starfield releases in June, you know what? That's a bit of a reprieve for me because tomorrow is Atomic Heart. I mean, and we're only in. There's 4 or 5 games this year. Oh yeah, by the way, Metroid Prime remake, Shadow dropped. I bought 2 versions, the physical and the digital, because I love Metroid Prime. It's just, and you have Zelda coming out soon. It's just it's too much, as my wife would say. Jerron TJ drops an additional $5 super chat, and he says, I don't support that community, but it doesn't mean I hate them. People think just because you don't support it, you have an opinion, people get mad. Listen, dude, you are like everyone else, is entitled to their opinion on what you want to support, what you don't want to support. My wife and I, we support all communities, every race, creed, color, sexual orientation. It doesn't matter. If you're a person and you're a decent person, we will support you. That's just how we are. We are a live and let live kind of couple. Listen, everyone's entitled to their opinion. But Web Dave, let's keep this on Starfield.
Oh yeah,
we don't know. See, I think that the Super Bowl has come and gone. There's no ad. I got a problem with that. But we're not talking about that today, because tomorrow we're going to get into that specifically on the Xbox Factor podcast. I have a slamming panel, lots of incredible topics. We're going to be talking about Atomic Heart. Hopefully it's available tonight at midnight. I'm going to stay up and get a couple hours in, record some footage for the show. We're going to be talking about this. I mean, the marketing for Microsoft, I listen, I love the brand. I'm an Xbox dude, right? It's my brand. I have friends in the company, but sometimes I have questions. I scratch my head. I don't understand. I don't have a marketing degree, folks. I'm a retired New York City police officer. What the hell do I know about advertising? More than you know, because I advertise the shit out of my own show. You know, I do it all the time. I've even come up with new ways to make the thumbnails interactive. Like you watch it like a movie. It's because I know that you have to sell your brand to the people. And we're closing in on 12,000 subs. And by the way, if you're new and you find the channel for the first time and you're digging what we're talking about, please consider subscribing. It'd be great. I'd greatly appreciate it. We work super hard, my wife and I, on this channel. 5 days a week, 5 different panels, all different great opinions. So if you want that kind of consistent coverage of the gaming world, check us out and subscribe. But Dave, let's get your opinion on this. We have not heard anything about Starfield and their planned event, other than we know it's coming. Like
Right.
Skullzi just said, he thinks it's the end of February. So do I. I'm hearing third week. Potentially, we hear something early next week. Maybe we get it at the end or even early March. But I think I agree with Skullzi. I think Starfield is such a monster IP. It's the one IP, and it really does have a lot of marketing push just on the fact that it is an Xbox exclusive, one of expected to be the biggest Xbox exclusives released in potentially years. I don't think you need 3, 6, 12 months of advertising that people are going to run to flock this thing. You get out there and you put that, you get there on that show and you say, hey folks, here's 11 minutes of gameplay. We watch it and we're all amazed. Oh my God, it looks incredible. And then Todd Howard in a new leather, because you know that's what he likes. He's going to get out there and he's going to say, hey, folks, listen, we got a release date. But before I give you the release date, I want to show you something I was really jazzed to show you. And he goes and he pulls out, and it's a special edition Xbox Series X, Series S, a controller. He says, you can pre-order this right now. And everyone runs, and the internet falls apart. And on top of that goodness, we're going to be having some more, playthroughs, and we're going to reach out to some streamers, and we're going to let everyone streaming the game. And oh, by the way, it's coming out March 28th, and that's all they need is a month. What are your thoughts on this, Dave?
Well, several things. One, follow Skullzi TV, everyone, because this man knows his stuff. That's all I'm saying. He does his due diligence in his research, and the company that he works for, the game that he's working on, was actually, I believe, some of the members on the team that used to work for Bethesda. So insight, maybe, just saying. But there's maybe a little, or at least a better understanding of the workings and their mindset, because of the relationship that the other programmers that he works with have had with Bethesda. How's that for skirting around it, huh? Yeah, but yeah, but seriously, it's I definitely, would I like it soon? Yes. Do I want it now? Yesterday, hello. But if if it's June, great. That's perfect. No matter what else, but we got this, we got this, we got this. It ain't Starfield. That's all I can say. Whatever you bring it to the table in June, it's not gonna be Starfield quality, quantity, and scope. So, and but also the the depth as far as the marketing goes, and Skullzi I think is right on. I used to work for GameStop. I know how some things last minute seem to be last minute come up. This stuff is in the plans. This stuff's in the work. If there is a special edition collector's console coming out, it's already in production. It's already boxed up. It's in a warehouse.
It better be a space helmet. That's all I'm saying. Because Bethesda's notorious for that. Yes.
If there's a watch like Todd's been sporting, and you see in the game demos that he uses, and there's an actual design watch that's released in a special edition package, that thing's already ready to go, limited production number. I mean, those things, all that's in place. The onslaught of marketing, it can literally take a month, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, and everybody who's anybody or has no idea will know about this game. And they're going to be asking their kids, what is this Starfield thing I keep hearing about? What's this Game Pass and Starfield combination? What is this? If you doubt it, then you have not been in gaming or not paid attention to what marketing and things can happen, because they know what to do. And if you even take a step back and look at the Call of Duty and how every year it's like, wow, that's such a marketing blitz.
Yeah.
If you don't think it's going to be on that caliber or bigger, you are sadly mistaken, my friend. It is, and if there is these quote unquote playthroughs or demos or things like that actually, hey, and this is how you do this, and this is how you do this. You want to know how about crafting in Starfield? Join us this Thursday with such and such. 2 weeks before the game comes out, and we'll show you a little bit more about it. Those kind of events, those planning, those things are already done. They're already planned out, and it's just a matter of Microsoft. Although we want it now and we want Super Bowl ads, they know what they're doing, and they have a new marketing team that if you like the last showcase they just did, you're gonna love what's coming next. That's all I'm gonna say, is that this Bethesda showcase, when it comes out, when it actually finally drops, whether it's the end of this month, hopefully. But when it does drop, hold on to your hats, boys and girls. We on for a ride. That's it.
Yeah, no, good stuff. Absolutely. I agree. I mean, listen, I disagree to some effect. They know what they're doing. Maybe they do, and we haven't seen that yet. Again, tune into tomorrow's Xbox Factor podcast. I got some thoughts, folks. Again, it's not pouncing on, piling on the rabbit. I like what they're doing. The change is apparent. Is it fast enough? Is it big enough? You'll get my opinions tomorrow when I sit down with the entire cast of characters known as the Xbox Factor podcast, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Fuzzy, let's get your opinion on this. March? Are you a marcher, like it's being called, or are you just you have just bent the knee and accepted June as the actual release date?
I'm still a marcher for the fact that
Me too.
That there's still enough time for a showcase beforehand. The date, and I know we've probably put more emphasis on the date just because Todd is a numbers kind of guy. So I could definitely see that the 23rd still being a possibility. The thing that I'm curious about, and I wish I had more connections as far as like electronic stores and things like that, but typically on games themselves, coming to, like, let's say your Best Buy or your Target and things like that, if I'm not mistaken, they typically only come in about a week prior or up to like 4 days prior. So we probably won't see the boxes as far as like, oh, look what we're putting on the back shelves before we have to put them on the front shelves at Target or whatever. But I almost wish all publishers had to publicly announce that they went gold, but they only do that as an option. So my figuring is, if it goes gold behind the scenes sometime this week or next week, there's still plenty of time to get it, everything to be printed, shipped, and in people's hands as far as in time for the 23rd. But
If it hasn't already gone gold. How about
exactly, which I wouldn't be surprised if it hasn't already gone gold. It's just that they didn't bother to announce it like some other studios do, which would play into what Todd had talked about in an interview that he did earlier, or actually late last year, where it was like he would love to just talk about a game and then release it like the next week type of thing. So we'll see if that's even still a possibility. And given how much Todd has into this game, I wouldn't be surprised if the everybody at Xbox or Microsoft themselves is kind of like, it's your ball, run with it kind of thing, and go ahead and do that. Show it for 1 week before it releases type of deal. But we'll see. I'm really looking forward to an announcement for a showcase, and figure at some point this month they got to announce something, even if it's going to be for like a June release. I would figure they would probably say, hey, tune in March, whatever, if it's going to be like a March showing or whatever along those lines, because I don't think they want to do it too far down the road, as far as if it's not March, let's say, and it is June, it's going to be pretty stacked around that time frame. And yeah, I know that there's people that are going to still look at Starfield over, like, let's say, what do you call it, Jedi Survivor and things along those lines. But it would be a harder fight for like the sci-fi crowd and things like that. But the other thing that is weird, and I forget who mentioned it, like within our circle of friends, but it's kind of funny how Jedi Survivor kind of moved out of the March window.
It sure enough did. You know what, dude? Shout out to Fuzzy Belvedere for the first person to actually say it. I've been thinking about that. You got to ask yourself, was that on purpose? Was that on accident? Do they really need 6 more weeks of power? I don't know. I like what you're putting down there, brother. Good point.
No, but that's basically it. I'm still on board for March 23rd, 23.
Join that. Join the
until,
March
until March
folks.
22nd,
Yes.
and there's still nothing announced. I'll probably stand on that hill. I'll be the last one standing, I guess.
Hey, Boom. What if the March, which everybody's excited about, but what if March is when we get the showcase for a June release?
I mean, it's possible,
And
sure.
that's plenty of time for marketing, right?
It's that. But again, I'm a conspiracy theorist fan only because I want what I want when I want it. So I'm part of the marchers, like Pong Soul, right? Pong Soul's a marcher. You're a marcher. Fuzzy's a marcher. Skullzi TV, we're all marchers. The Mavs Fun Speculations a marcher. Listen, I understand marketing. I understand that you want to blitz and you want in a 30-day or 30 plus days, say 34 days, 33 days from showcase to launch. Remember, folks,
can happen.
We're dealing with a community that has an attention span of an ant, and that's no offense, folks.
What'd you say?
Because there's so much going on in the world. We are focused on something here, and something happens tomorrow, and we're like this, like dogs. We're looking somewhere else, right? All of us, not just the young, everybody has a short attention span because there's so much great content. Listen, if you're a gamer, there's a good chance that maybe you're not a nerd like me and you got toys, which I wish you could see. Remember, I'm in an apartment. Eventually, I'll have a man cave and you'll be able to see all my G.I. Joes and everything that are in front of me, my Doom helmets, my Assassin's Creed models. Eventually, you'll see that. But if you are a video game fan, there's probably a checkbox for comics or for graphic novels or for collectibles or for toys or for statues. You got some of those check marks. So our attention, films is another good one to throw in there. Anime is another, in there. I guarantee you that you're a fan of at least 3 of the 8 that I just mentioned. Yep. And if you're a nerd like me, then you probably like all 8. sorry. I don't know what to tell you. I'm a nerd.
Hey, Boom.
Yes, sir.
One more quick thing.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I keep interrupting today.
That's all right. It's fine.
Can you tell I missed the show because I'm all antsy to get to talk? But just a lot of people a couple people are saying this in the chat as well, that that maybe like we don't want it here because we got all this and this coming out. You got all these kind of games coming out. This June will be bad because we got Zelda, we got this, we got and I get that, but Starfield is the kind of game when it does release, it's probably not going to be a one and done for anybody. You look at Skyrim and its 10-year journey continuing, and it's still on the charts. It's still playing. It's still being streamed, and so Starfield is its own animal. And I'm not saying Zelda may be a one and done, maybe a couple of times through. But Starfield is going to be a totally different beast. So that's why if it does come out when something else like, oh, I want to play this, play that, because Starfield is going to be there waiting for you and going to be there for a long time to come.
Yeah, that's a great point. Everyone always wants to say, oh, Starfield can't come out this month because so-and-so's coming out this month. To quote Breaking Bad, Starfield is the one that knocks. They need to worry about Starfield. Starfield doesn't need to worry about what else is coming out.
I love it. That's good stuff. That's good stuff. Listen, folks, we're going to continue, but before we do, we got to get a couple of super chats in here. Danny Passion Official, generous friend of the program, drops a $2 super chat and says, for me, Starfield is coming June or September. No, not September. Please say it ain't so. And Wolf of Darkness, good friend of the program, he drops a very generous $5 super chat. And he says this: hello, Boom, great panel and great topics. Me and my son are enjoying watching the podcast. My son's name is Sultan. Hey, Sultan, welcome to the program, brother. I'm glad you're enjoying it. And he's saying that Boom is awesome. I'm blushing, folks, because I don't do this for popularity. I do this for the love of this absolutely astounding community. And, of course, gaming, right? That's what we're here for. Let's get into The Evil Within 3. This is a game that has quietly been in development for years. Tango Gameworks is a development house that a lot of people know exist, but don't really know, right? They're known as the horror, right? They made Evil Within 1, depending on where you fall. Some people gave it a 6, some people gave it a 10. The producer worked on the original Resident Evil. So a lot of the game is you can tell his ties to that legendary series. I didn't enjoy the first one as much as I enjoyed the second one. What I'm going to do is restart The Evil Within 1 and play through it and see if I can see what the hype was about. I heard that it was very good. I didn't get into it as much as I did 2. I played through multiple times. It's phenomenal. 2 was great. What do we got on 3, Skullzi? Because it has not been officially announced by Tango Gameworks, right? They have not said officially that they're working on it, but we do know that they're working on a quote-unquote AAA game. And look, Bethesda was a big company, but now they're even bigger with the backing of Microsoft. So now there's more monies, there's more resources to other teams should they need it to come out with what would be considered a Resident Evil level release for 3. What have you heard?
Yeah, we definitely haven't seen the last of The Evil Within. The Evil Within 3 is definitely going to come out at some point, just as much as Wolfenstein 3. Bethesda seems to like trilogies for some reason with those types of games, so we're definitely going to see a third one. It hasn't been officially announced yet, but I'm more than confident they're working on it now. Tango is a great developer. They just put out Hi-Fi Rush, so they have some more room now for their developers to focus on other things. I will say this: I can't remember her name, unfortunately. I believe her name was Akumi, the original creative director for Ghostwire. When she left back after that was announced, the new director, Shinji Mikami, I believe his name is, did mention something that might throw a little pickle into the Evil Within thing. He said he does want to eventually make his own IP now that he's creative director, his own brand new IP. So there is something something might come out before The Evil Within 3. It might be a whole new IP. Some people might say it could be Hi-Fi Rush, but Hi-Fi Rush was trademarked originally, I believe, back in 2019. So that's when Akumi was still at Tango. That's the year she left, actually. So Hi-Fi Rush probably isn't his IP that he wants to make, that he mentioned before. So Evil Within 3, I'm confident it is definitely going to come out at some point in time. 100%. I'm confident that they are at least in the early stages of development with it. They're planning their design doc, the story doc. They have their writings being in the process. But as much as I want to say it's coming next, I can't put my chips on that table because Shinji Mikami did mention he would like to make his own new IP. So there's a chance we might have to wait a little bit for that, just as much as we might have to wait for Indiana Jones to come out before Wolfenstein 3. There's a lot of stuff going on in gaming, even outside of Bethesda, but Bethesda Softworks as a studio they're making a lot of stuff right now, more stuff than I've ever made before. There's a lot more cross collaboration with developers than we've seen before with BethSoft. So at the end of the day, I'm more than confident Evil Within 3 is going to come out probably before 2025, if I had to make a guess. It just depends on Shinji Mikami's, forgive me if I'm pronouncing his name correctly or getting it wrong, but it just depends on when his new IP fits into the timetable, because that's the only thing keeping us from Evil Within 3 right now is his creative direction on his own project. So we'll just have to wait a little bit to see. Tango is one of those developers that, they don't market their games as much as other BethSoft studios. I mean, just look at Hi-Fi Rush. They just dropped it out of nowhere. Evil Within 3 isn't going to be that. They're going to market it for sure. So it'll be a little bit of time before I can definitely give like a more accurate, I guess, prediction as to when we could get the game. But don't worry, if you're an Evil Within fan, it's coming out. I'm right with you. The first game didn't necessarily hit it for me. It was good, but the second one blew me out of the water. Huge horror game fan. I played every Silent Hill, every Resident Evil, every Fatal Frame. I love horror games, and I'm hyped for it as well. But we just have to wait a little bit to see what's coming next from Tango.
Yeah, I'm looking. I don't know whether you know the size of the studio, because the only thing I could find was something from 2012, which is obviously a decade ago. I don't know what the size of the team is now, and could they work on multiple projects? But I did hear that Mikami wanted to do his own franchise. Like, he wanted to make a new IP in the horror in the horror genre, which we know that's his bread and butter. Look, I'll say this. As much as I want an Evil Within 3 and a trilogy to close out what has happened in 1 and 2, if he wanted to come out with a new IP, I would not say no to that, because A, it would be a AAA level game. B, it'd be something that Microsoft could put in their portfolio that they don't currently have, right? They listen, as great as Xbox is, and as great as Xbox Game Pass is, there's some holes there that I hope that they address sooner than later. Fighting, then Killer Instinct. I'm gonna keep beating that drum, folks. Banjo-Kazooie. Where's the family friendly games? Where is the kart racer from Playground Games? I'm waiting, Phil. We've talked before. Let's talk again. I'll drop some ideas. Hopefully, I can run into Phil Spencer at E3 and we can have a nice sit down and I can drop those 2 nuggets. So, I mean, they have holes, and obviously, all companies do. Like all platforms are missing something or another. But I'd like to see Microsoft address that, and horror is one that they could address for sure. Web Dave, let's get your opinion on this before we get into the secret information that Skullzi is going to bring to today's show. Are you a fan of The Evil Within? Did you play 1? Did you play 2?
Yes, I did.
Okay,
Big fan.
there you go.
Love 'em.
So let's talk about it. Do you want a 3?
Yeah, of course. Bring it on. If it's in the works, I'm ready for it. It's one of those probably too big a game to shadow drop, but it's like Skullzi said, if it's something that's in the works, it's probably still maybe a little early in the works, because it's probably that they really want to put. I would assume they're going to put a lot into it. And why wouldn't they want to make another one at some point? But it may not be the next thing to drop. But yeah, I believe that there's something in the works because it's such a good franchise. It's very well done, and the other two games, which I believe are both available on Game Pass right now, are hugely successful, and definitely help fill the void for survival horror. So my kids, my daughter especially, she's a huge fan of those of the games and the franchise, and I'm looking forward to the next one that they have to come out. So yeah, bring it. I'm ready for it.
Good stuff. I agree. I put it this way: whatever Tango decides to do next in the horror genre, know that it is going to release with a lot of oomph, quality, and look. Maybe you didn't dig Evil Within 1. Maybe 2 wasn't your bag. Maybe Ghostwire Tokyo, which is coming out this year for Xbox, you didn't give a chance because it was on, PlayStation 5 as an exclusive. But I can tell you, this community, this genre, this video game world that we all live in, everyone is always, well, what have you done for me lately? Right? That's how we like to live. Not we. I'm gonna say not everyone lives that way, because I certainly don't. But people like to live that kind of way, where they want to know what you did, a week ago, 2 weeks ago, 5 minutes ago. Well, if Hi-Fi Rush is any indication on the quality of developers that they have at Tango Gameworks, we are in for a treat for this studio that now has unbelievable support from Microsoft. But Fuzzy, let's get your opinion on this, brother. Where do you kind of fall with Evil Within? Do you want to see a third one to close out the trilogy before or after the director of that studio makes potentially a new IP?
Well, yeah. See, I'm kind of in a weird spot. So I preferred Evil Within 2 over 1,
Okay,
and
me
I would
too.
love to see an Evil Within 3. But I actually I prefer Ghostwire Tokyo over all of it. I would rather Mikami have his new IP, because the fresh ideas within Ghostwire, I kind of like having the powers and the abilities, as opposed to just relying on like limited resources kind of thing. I would like to see what that new IP is, and then have them do a Ghostwire Tokyo 2 before a Evil Within 3. But that's just my take on it, because Ghostwire is more of like the Japanese horror aspect of like the types of creatures or beings that were in that are more of the ones that I prefer to see in like a horror game, kind of like almost like the movie Ring, and I forget what the other one was.
The
I used to
Grudge.
watch with my
Yeah,
wife.
well, Ju-on, I was going to say, but yeah,
Yeah.
The Grudge, yes. Yep.
So I Evil Within 3, they definitely need to be working on it, but new IP first, just so that way he has room to experiment even more before he comes back to Evil Within 3. Because I would like to see some of the stuff from Ghostwire possibly make it into Evil Within 3. But yeah, the new IP I think would be the main thing to let him kind of, all these years of him making horror games, I would love to see like just a window into his mind of what he would want as far as a new beginning or a new IP. And then Ghostwire, it didn't receive a lot of praise, but for a first out of the gate segment in
I think that's
that
going to
game,
change, dude.
yeah, I think there's so much potential in that one for like a Ghostwire 2 that I'm actually looking more forward to that than the Evil Within series. But that's just my look on it. But we'll see. Hopefully, there's room for all three.
You know what? I love it. I love the way you put it. I am going to say about Ghostwire Tokyo. I have a strong suspicion, folks, that because of the push that we saw with Hi-Fi Rush, like remember, this is a shadow drop game that shook the world, right?
Mhm.
And what's crazy is they did it for Nintendo, because Metroid Prime Shadow Drop, right, like available now, and you're like, oh my god, I gotta go buy it. And everyone went out and bought it. I bought it twice. I bought this physical, which is going to stay in the collection, and I bought the digital. Loved the first one. Didn't care too much for the controller, the way that was set up for the controller, but this is set up for modern controller, for like the dual sticks.
Mhm.
I have not started it yet, folks. Yes, I know. Hang my head in shame. I don't have enough time. It's enough
Too
time.
many
That's the
games and not enough
problem.
time.
And I don't want to play on my Switch. Now I play my Switch every day, but I play with the missus. We play Animal Crossing. It's a couples thing. We love it. It's just what we do. But let me catch up on a couple of super chats that have come in, and then we're going to get to the big topic: the secrets that are going to be unveiled today by Skullzi TV. Jonas the Dad drops an additional and very generous $2 super chat. And Skullzi, he specifically asks, after dropping a $2 super chat, anything on a sequel or DLC for Hi-Fi Rush? I have not heard anything other than the rumblings of an anime, potentially. And I think being that they've teamed up with Netflix, go and get Netflix to do an anime, because their animes are cream of the crop.
No, for sure. I definitely heard something about an anime in the works. I think it might be a little too early to talk about a sequel. Haven't heard anything about DLC yet. Now, I'm still playing the game. I'm trying to beat it. I just beat Zanzo. I'm taking my time. So I can't give you my take on whether or not I think story-wise there would be a sequel, but just based on how amazing this game is, from the characters to just the in-between mission cinematics, everything is just so polished, so clean, so entertaining that I definitely don't think we've seen the last of Hi-Fi Rush yet. 100%.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's such a success. It's a success on so many levels, right? Small team that no one knows about, a Japanese team that Microsoft owns. Ooh, who would have thunk it, right? They actually have a footprint in Japan. Go figure, right? The leader, Shinji Mikami, is the father, one of the father figures of Resident Evil. He's running the studio. We know he's a horror fan. We know that he is not going to go anywhere anytime soon. He's going to keep designing games. We know there's something in the works, whether that be Evil Within 3 or the new IP that Skullzi had mentioned. So I would imagine that they saw the success of Hi-Fi Rush, and I don't want to say scrambling, but I think it is one of those things that is such a pleasant surprise, such a great story, that we will get a sequel. It will become a major IP for Xbox. And like I said, some boss fights were frustrating for some. Some of the boss fights that I enjoyed the most, I found to be not that hard versus other people like Paris Lily, a good friend of the community. He said he's going to throw his controller a couple of times, and some of the fights are hard. And of course, it's a great game. What a great story for 2023. I hope that we are talking about this game at the end of the year, when we start talking game of the year. Again, it's a smaller game. Yes, I get it. People can beat it in 10 hours, whatever. But my God, what a surprise. But listen, we're at the 120 mark. We're probably going to go a few minutes into overtime because we want to talk about this with and get our, hear what Skullzi had to say. Skullzi, you found in the trademarks a new IP that has been unannounced by Bethesda. You mentioned the name of it on your video that you dropped before the weekend. I'd like you to talk about that. First of all, send people to your channel. Where can people find that video? Because we're going to get that at the end of the show. But I learned a lot on that video. What's the name of this game? Could we see another Shadow Drop game from Bethesda Softworks?
Yeah, I mean, judging by Hi-Fi Rush, I think that they're looking at Shadow Drops in a whole new light. So SpyTeam definitely seems like it could fit the bill for a Shadow Drop. And yes, the game is called SpyTeam. It's 100% a game filed by Bethesda. And when I say Bethesda, I don't mean Bethesda Game Studios. I mean Bethesda Softworks, right? So it could be anybody. Now, an interesting thing about this is the SpyTeam trademark was filed. I covered this years ago on my channel, back when I discovered the Redfall trademark, Deathloop trademark, before we even knew what that was. I also talked about SpyTeam. I think I talked about that in 2019. So it's been a while since I covered it, but there have been updates to the SpyTeam trademark within the last couple of months. So clearly the game is still going to come out. ZeniMax isn't going to pay their trademark attorneys money to keep extending the trademark if they're not planning on releasing a product related to it. But the interesting thing is, if it was filed before Hi-Fi Rush, yet Hi-Fi Rush is already out, then I can't help but think SpyTeam might just be coming this year, and it would be perfect for a shadow drop. I have some theories about what this game is. Now, Bethesda Softworks has a handful of studios, right? They have id, they have Arcane, they got Tango. It's hard to kind of figure out who it's coming from, but I have some theories. First of all, I don't think it's from Tango. Tango just dropped Hi-Fi Rush. Tango is working on a potential new IP, probably a horror IP. SpyTeam doesn't necessarily sound like a horror IP to me, and Evil Within 3. So I think we could rule out Tango. My hypothesis, based on some of the stuff I've heard, is I believe it's going to be a collaboration between Bethesda Game Studios Austin and perhaps another Bethsoft studio, whether it be Arcane or id. And the reason I say this is because Bethesda Game Studios Austin have recently stepped away from being the main developers behind Fallout 76. They're now mostly support. Bethesda has outsourced some of their development and future projects for 76 to, I believe, European studios. I'm not 100% on that, but I am confident that BGS Austin has stepped away a bit from Fallout 76. That doesn't mean Fallout 76 is on the out. That doesn't mean it's going to get less content. It just means that they're focusing on something else right now. And when Bethesda Game Studios Austin was purchased by Bethesda, they used to be Battlecry Studios. They were working on a hero arena shooter style game named Battlecry. And when a major company like Bethesda purchases a developer, they're not just purchasing the people, they're not just purchasing their time, they're purchasing their assets too. So Battlecry was canceled because it wasn't well received during testing, but it doesn't mean that it's just going to throw all those assets away. They have the code, they have the structure already for a hero shooter style game. Why not just take that and revamp it into something else like SpyTeam? So if I had to put my chips on the table, I'd say it's a BGS Austin collaboration game. I think it's going to be an online game that's going to have elements of co-op and PvP and PvE. And what I would like to see from the game is, I'm a huge fan of Hitman. I was a fan of Spy vs. Mercs in Splinter Cell. I like there to be an online game where there's 2 teams, 4 teams, whatever. They have the same objective. They want to accomplish the objective.
Yes.
Yeah, no, this is going to sound, it gets me excited talking about it, but it'd be cool to have these multiple teams trying to go about this world, trying to stay hidden, not get detected, trying to stay stealthily while trying to accomplish their objective and also sabotage the other team. That sounds like something just based on the name SpyTeam that would fit just the name perfectly. And if we take into consideration BGS Austin most likely having something to do with the project, I think the pieces are starting to fall into place that's probably what we're going to get. Some people have said it's a mobile game. I mean, it could be, we really don't know. But generally, mobile games take a little less development than, let's say, a major console game or a PC game. SpyTeam has been a trademark for many years. I would have assumed that if SpyTeam was a mobile game, we would have at least had it by now or heard something about it by now. I don't think that they would have extended this trademark for a long period of time for a mobile project. That's just my own opinion based on my own experience with mobile trademarks. But I have the feeling we're probably going to get at some point soon, and I'm hyped to finally see what it is. And again, it was filed before Deathloop. It was filed before Hi-Fi Rush. I believe it was even filed before Redfall. So this is an older trademark than all these projects that are already out,
And
minus
it's still
Redfall.
they're still supporting it. It's still viable trademark, correct?
Yes. So the way it works is to make sure that a company doesn't just buy a name to own it forever. They have to release a product within a certain amount of time. Otherwise, they lose the rights to the trademark, and then they'd have to file it all over again, risk someone else swooping in and taking it. They can file 5 6-month extensions total to extend this time period. And I believe they're on extension 2 now. And also we've seen the European Trademark Union have updates to the SpyTeam trademark as well. So something's going on behind the scenes with SpyTeam. It's hard to use the trademarks as an exact litmus of when we could get the game or what it is, but it does tell us Bethesda is still ingrained in this project. They're still working on it. And like I said previously a couple times, if Hi-Fi Rush is out already, if Deathloop's out already, if Redfall is coming out this year, where's SpyTeam? It's an older trademark and clearly not an abandoned one. So I think it's coming soon, and I think it's probably going to surprise some people because like you were saying about horror games with Bethesda, we need those from Bethesda. We need those for Xbox, right? we kind of need something similar to what I envision with SpyTeam as well, an online hero shooter style game that has actual objective-based gameplay as well. It doesn't seem like something that's 100% been done before. So not only will it fill a niche for Xbox and Bethesda, but it might introduce an entire new gameplay loop that we haven't seen. So I hope I'm right about what I think the game is, but at the end of the day, the game's coming. It's coming from Bethesda, and yeah, it's probably going to be sooner rather than later.
Good stuff, man. And you heard it here, folks. SpyTeam is a thing. And he thinks, and I say he, Skullzi TV seems to think that it may encompass something like Spies versus Mercs. And if that's the case, OMG, that is amazing. Now, before we get Web Dave into the conversation, I do want to address a comment from Iman Burns. First of all, Iman, welcome to the show. As always, he asked a question, and it's a fair question. So, of course, I want to answer it live on the air. He says, "Hey, Boom, what's the difference between your $4.99 and $8.99 a month sub? What extra do I get? I would like to know." So here's the thing, dude. I donate a ridiculous amount of time to this channel. I do 5 shows a week, right? 2 90-minute shows or 2 90-plus minute shows, and 3 2-hour shows. I put every ounce of blood, sweat, and tears into this show. And when I'm not working live on the air, I'm working behind the scenes, recording footage, reading articles, reaching out to connections. So the reason why there are 2 different channel amounts is because that's what the community asked for. I was asked when I only had one, "Hey, Boom, I want to support you more because I really appreciate the work that you and Mrs. Boom do. Can you make another tier?" So I made another tier. Now, I don't have Patreon because I don't have literally the time. I had a Patreon years ago. If you remember, if you've been following the channel for a while, I canceled it. Why did I cancel it? I came out, Mrs. Boom and I came very, very clear as day, clear as glass. We don't have Patreon because we can't give any more than we are already giving. I just don't have the time. 5 days a week. There's no one in the community for gaming that does 5 shows a week. It's rare, and it's a lot of work. So if you are enjoying the work and you appreciate that I am here at those times every day, Monday through Friday, and sometimes on a Saturday, sometimes breaking news stuff, and sometimes even on other people's shows, you'll say, "Well, I want to donate to the channel." And what do those 2 tiers get? Well, as we have talked about in all of our contests, the first half of all prizes go to channel members, regardless of whether it's a $5 or $10 one. I mean, I hope that's the explanation you were hoping for. And again, if you feel that I'm only worth $5, then do the $5 tier. If you feel I'm worth 10, then you do 10. If you feel I'm not worth any of that, well, then don't subscribe. It's cool. I'm not offended. We don't do this for the money. We're not paying the rent with this money. How much money do you think we actually make? It's YouTube. They get 30% right off the top, folks. But you didn't know that. 30% goes to YouTube on anything that you get. And we haven't even launched our merch thing yet because I had to spend money to have that done. So I hope that explains it for you. If you enjoy the program, then you become a channel member. If you don't, then don't. I mean, I don't know what else to say. But Web Dave, let's talk about SpyTeam for a hot second, because this sounds very Xbox, in my opinion. Xbox is known for being the multiplayer box, right? It has been since the inception of Xbox Live, right? Spies versus Mercs was a huge part of the Splinter Cell IP that has gone. I mean, hell, Splinter Cell doesn't even exist anymore, for crying out loud. I would love to see a version or Bethesda's version of SpyTeam that invokes those feelings of Spies versus Merc versus Splinter Cell. What are your thoughts on this, man?
I'm excited for it. I mean, yeah, obviously it's a great find. He's quite the sneaky one digging around. It's called. I mean, I wouldn't have the time or patience to try but man, he's put a lot of work. And the thing is, this is not the first bit of treasure that Skullzi has found this way. So I mean, it's very credible, and it's very, like I said, he does his due diligence, folks. So, and I'm telling you, it's pretty awesome. and it's greatly appreciated that he does it. I'm looking forward to it. Whatever it's going to be, I'm like, let's do it. Let's jump on it. Let's try it. Let's check it out. It's exciting. If you know, if it, but even like I think Skullzi's even said this before himself. You know, there's a lot of games that we'll never hear about because they'll get to a certain point and in development stage, and for whatever reason, it doesn't quite work. You haven't quite got the team in place to complete it, or it's just the trend has moved on, or they've decided, you know what, this was good, but what if we do this, and it changes or evolves into some other kind of game. So those kind of things can happen, but still the prospect that there's another game from Bethesda, any of the Bethesda team coming out, exciting. And then, like I said before, Skullzi and his I don't know, connections. I mean, what was that?
I have my own spy team.
He has his own spy team. Yeah, it's kind of like Mad TV and Spy versus Spy.
I love it. That's good stuff.
But yeah,
Listen,
man, I'm excited for it.
Yeah, me too. I again, new IP, multiplayer focused, potentially, and again, this is just speculation town, of course, that it could invoke those feelings of Splinter Cell, of Spies versus Mercs. I love the idea. I would hope, I will throw this out there, if Bethesda's listening, I don't want it to be first person. I want it to be third. I think third person Spy versus Mercs was phenomenal. I think that it would give us a feeling. I like seeing the character. I like, being able to see the environment, but the character as well. I'd love gadgets to be a part of the conversation, both, for and against. Obviously, SpyTeam, you're defending. If you're defending, you're the mercs, or I mean, you're the spies or the mercs, whatever way they decide to go. I think that if you ask anybody about Splinter Cell, and if you're a multiplayer fan, most will say, of course, we love Sam Fisher. We love the stories that were told. But that Spy versus Mercs really changed the way we thought of co-op gaming back in those days. It needs to come back in a big way. Let me just and Parker Burns says, why not both? You know what? Why not? Give us a choice. It's Bethesda. They do first person and third person. Why not offer both? We have Drawn TJ drops not one but two super chats. The first one of $5. He says, hey, don't forget about Ninja Theory is making a horror game. Yes, Project Mara. Yeah. Hopefully we will see. And that would be pretty cool as a shadow drop, as a smaller, because I think Xbox is going to exactly what Skullzi TV said. I think that Xbox as a whole, not just Bethesda, are going to look at what Hi-Fi Rush did in regards to a shadow drop. And I think that could be a big deal. I mean, Project Mara is a smaller project. It's in one flat, as we know. It is a horror game. Wouldn't it be pretty cool at E3 2023 that they say, Ninja shows off their game and, it's available now? That'd be pretty dope. Especially at that event, because all the world's eyes are on it. He drops a second one, says, $2, says, everyone please hit the like button. And yes, please. Thank you for that, Drawn TJ. Hit the like button and potentially subscribe. And Jericho, who's been a new channel member, Jericho, thank you for that. He has donated, folks, 5 Double Barrel Gaming memberships. Thank you so much for that. It's extremely generous of you, brother. And I definitely appreciate the support. That is awesome. Thank you again. Fuzzy, let's get your final opinion and we'll get everyone on out of here. Spies versus Mercs from Bethesda sounds dope, especially if it's and their teams over there are talented AF. What are your thoughts on what Skullzi had to say?
Well, the whole Spies versus Mercs thing needs to happen. Since Ubisoft doesn't seem to know what they want to do with their IP, somebody needs to pick up the mantle and run with it. But I love Skullzi's insight on what Bethesda might be working on, and considering that it's been in trademark for longer than some other projects that are already released, I can't wait to see what it could possibly be. But like the first thing that comes to mind, and I think it's because people have used like some of the artwork for Deathloop, where they have like the different, like the almost
Yes, I
like
saw that. That was
the
pretty
James
cool.
Bond type outfit.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
I that was the first thing that came to mind. Like, hey, this would be kind of cool because when you have Juliana hunting you down as like another player or even the AI, it's always fun trying to run through the map and not get detected and try not to get sniped from a long distance type of thing as well. So I'd be curious to see what it's like if, as far as you know Xbox being known for multiplayer games and that particular part of X or Bethesda being known for a multiplayer game, something along those lines would definitely be a pleasant surprise. As far as when to expect it, I'm hoping it's sooner rather than later. But yeah, hey, if I guess just a random thought that came to mind with thinking about like the Deathloop characters, just think if you could also incorporate other IP or other
Oh my
Xbox centric
dude.
IP as far
Dude, I
as the
just gonna
playable
say
characters.
that. I
So
love it.
yeah, this definitely could be, well, not to even call it Fortnite or something, but it could be along those lines for Xbox as far as something that people continuously play, have updated IP characters, character skins, things along those lines. But just the spy versus mercs, concept on console nowadays, it needs to return and needs to return ASAP.
Yeah, I love it. There goes the sound. I love it. Listen, I'm gonna throw out here. I'm gonna throw something out there. I'm gonna get the people excited because I just again when Fuzzy was talking, I was gonna say it after he was done. Now, what if this spy team is a version of GoldenEye? What if Microsoft sees the success of GoldenEye from back in the days? They can't officially release it, the good one. They can't get multiplayer. It has to be co-op. What if, like to what Fuzzy was saying, that Spy Team is like GoldenEye, but with Xbox characters? Marcus Phoenix, Master Chief, pick Joanna Dark.
Yeah.
Just imagine if you could play as that character in a versus kind of a situation. I think, and I'll say this: I don't know when it's going to happen. Hell, I don't even know if it's going to happen. But I will say this, and I think Skullzi and everyone on the panel, and as well as in the chat, will agree with me. Microsoft is in current possession of some of the most iconic characters in gaming, from Master Chief all the way down to Banjo Kazooie, and add anyone that you want in there. It needs to happen. I know Microsoft is listening. I don't know. I don't have any development skills to make my own or even pitch a project or be the head studio, the head of the studio. There's got to be something in the works to celebrate every one of these characters in one game, whether that be a fighter like Killer Instinct with guest characters, or a Smash Brothers clone that we've seen very successful on the WB aspect, or a racing game. Obviously a kart game would be amazing. It'd be crazy to see Master Chief racing up against Crash and Banjo Kazooie on a Halo ring. How freaking cool would that be? Well, let's if you don't want to do that and you want to keep it multiplayer, what about a first person, versus game? It doesn't have to have the biggest budget in the world. A GoldenEye clone with Xbox characters. Who wouldn't want that?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But listen, those topics are for another show. I'm sure we'll be talking about that. Listen, let's get everyone out of here. A big shout out to all of the near 500 people we had here. Once again, a thank you for all the super chats and channel memberships that are consistently supporting the channel to allow for Mrs. Boom and I to do the big giveaways. And obviously, we have 2 announced already. We're giving away 15 copies of Stalker 2 when it's announced and released. And we're also going to give away in the coming weeks 4 digital deluxe copies. 5, I'm sorry, not 4. 5 copies of Hi-Fi Rush. We're going to give away 5 copies of the digital deluxe version of that game. If you haven't got it or you haven't bought it, in the coming weeks, we're going to be giving that away because we were waiting to see if there was a physical, because a lot of people want a physical version. It has not been announced as of yet. So we're probably going to do just digital. Real quick, before we get to Skullzi and his outro, Drawn TJ drops an additional $5 super chat and says, I would love a story-driven co-op game with the Xbox mascots working together. Yeah, they need to celebrate their characters. They need to be proactive in that. Well, if anyone does that fantastically, it's Nintendo. Look what they've done. I mean, just look at the Mario Kart sales numbers for a remake, folks, of a Wii U game. I'm just saying it's over 50 million. It's almost think about this for a second. More than half or just under half of the 122 million the Wii U Switch consoles, half of those people own a copy of Mario Kart Deluxe. That's unheard of, folks. That is unheard of ratio connection from system to game, and only Nintendo does it, right? I'd love to see Microsoft take anyone on Playground Games or Turn 10 Studios. Send an email out, say, would anyone be interested in the company of working on a mascot kind of a kart racer? I guarantee you're going to get takers, and they should invest in that, because that would be huge. But Skullzi, thanks so much for the hot off the presses information. Please sell your brand. Tell everyone where they can check out Skullzi TV on YouTube, and more importantly, reach out to you on social media.
Yep, thank you as always for inviting me on. Great show, great panel. Make sure everybody like the video, subscribe to these fine people, and if you're interested in my content, you can check me out at youtube.com/Skullzi for all my investigations and Bethesda stuff. And also, if you're a fan of Bethesda games and the Elder Scrolls and RPGs, I am working on a big, massive open world RPG with the original creators of the entire Elder Scrolls franchise over at Once Lost Games. So you could check us out there as well. Appreciate it, and thank you again.
Thank you, brother. Definitely appreciate you being here. And Web Dave, sell your brand, brother. You just dropped a big interview today with Scrub Nurse, one of the community's absolute finest. Talk about that, where they can subscribe to your YouTube channel that is in the hunt for 1K. And more importantly, where can people reach out to you on social media?
Kazooie. Banjo Kazooie. Sorry. But
love it.
but yeah, no, thanks, man. Appreciate that. No, Scrub Nurse interview was fantastic. He's super great member of the community, awesome guy, really knows his stuff, and it's a good interview. It's a fun time, and it's available now. So it's please check it out. The link is below in the description of this video, and greatly appreciate you doing that for me, Boom. So and yeah, lots more interviews coming. Got to still working on that. I know I keep saying it, I keep teasing it. It's been months now. I keep pushing it off, but I've got one that's in the works that once he is able to, let's just say a few things at corporate level have to get done first.
I love it.
Before he can be interviewed. So once that happens, then we'll talk a little more, and boy, that's going to be a fun one. But
yeah,
anyway,
I can't wait.
So yeah, but everybody on this panel right now is interviews are up right now. Check those out, man. Every single one of these guys are amazing. And Boom, thank you so much. And I'll cede the floor to Fuzzy Belvedere.
Thank you, brother. Definitely appreciate that. And go check out Web Dave for sure. And Fuzzy, sell your brand, brother. Talk about the best place for all and anything racing. And more importantly, where can people reach out to you on social media?
Just want to thank you for having me on. It was awesome being on here with you guys. And thanks to everybody in the chat that was interacting with us, and those that will catch us on replay. For those that want to hear my rambles on anything gaming related, and in particular anything Forza related or motor racing related, just follow me on Twitter and YouTube at Fuzzy_Belvedere. You can also find me on FSP on Fun Speculations channel later on tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then Friday morning right back here on Double Barrel Gaming, 10 a.m. on Breakfast with Boom. Look forward to seeing you guys there.
Thank you, brother. Definitely appreciate that. And ladies and gentlemen, once again, thank you for supporting the channel in any way, whether that be likes, clicks, shares in the community, super chats, or channel memberships. Mrs. BoomStick and I are incredibly grateful, humbled by the outstanding success that the channel has gotten. And once again, hit the like button. Someone put in the chat, only 189 likes. It was over almost 500 people here. Come on, folks. I trust me, you're not going to get a bill in the mail from Mrs. Boom and I when you hit the like button. Hit the like button before you get out. I don't know what it is. And it's a mental thing, or people are like, yeah, I don't hit it. I forget to hit it. do me a favor. It does help out. It does power the channel in regards to YouTube's ridiculous algorithm. The more you hit the like button, the better chance someone that has never seen the show is going to get a chance to check us out. And if you dig the show and you want to see the success continue and for us to grow, you got to help us. And if you can't help us, with super chats, that's fine. Just listen to the show. But please, for the love of Joe, hit the like button. And of course, I'm going to close out the show with something that's important to me. Hopefully one day it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And he would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. And we'll see you next week on the newest episode of the Xbox Lunch Break Special.